Hey, this is Stu, and of course we're at Purple Valley, and I'm here again with Deepika Mehta, and you know, if you see her back bends, you can see she's got a lot of freedom, but that doesn't come just like that. You have to do a little bit of work for it, don't you?
Yeah.
So we're going to do some openers and some preparation for back bending that should give you some more freedom on the front of the body to allow you to open up and do the back bends. Yeah. And again, I'm just going to be Deepika's bitch, shall we say,
oh my
and
God.
just do what I'm told.
Okay.
Good, go for it.
So one of the tips that I learned from some people who do Kalari, you know Kalari, it's a martial art from Kerala. One of the tips I learned for flexibility was oiling.
Okay.
So I do use sometimes if I know that, you know, especially if I'm in a Mysore and I know I'm going to have to do very deep back bends with Sharat, then I do use a little bit of oil, a little bit of sesame oil or some kind of oil. I put it in and then I have a hot shower before I go for practice.
Oh, wow.
So that gives this sense of lubrication and you feel much more flexible.
And so it's not, because some people use it as a castor oil, that real thick sort of
So the
gloopy
castor oil bath is meant to be done once a week. And you can't practice with that.
Okay.
It's too heavy, it kind of detoxes the body.
Okay.
And it's very intense. So when you do it, you can't do anything intense after.
Okay.
What I like to use is more like an Ayurvedic, like a sesame oil.
Okay.
It's more to create that sense of, I feel like every time I use it, my spine gets much more lubricated.
And so you put it over the whole body?
I use it like only on my hamstrings.
Okay.
And then on the spine, I just give my back like an upward kind of a self-massage. Not too much, just a little bit.
Okay.
And I feel like it makes a huge difference.
And then you have you leave it on to...
If it's very cold, if it's like winter, I leave it on. I don't use too much oil, just a little bit.
Yeah.
If it's summer, I have a shower after, so it's not too sticky. And I don't use it on the arms.
Okay.
Otherwise, you know, arm balances would become really
I was just thinking
sticky.
that, it'll make the binds easy, mind you, sometimes.
It gives you also a feeling of a lot of, like a feeling of flexibility.
Okay.
I guess it creates more like a kapha, you know, like an Ayurvedic perspective, not vata, but very kapha.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
All right. So oil up, and then we do this next bit.
Okay, so we're going to just start with a little bit of a lunge. I like to have a very yin feel, a very soft, more restorative feel when I'm doing a warm-up for a back bend. So I like to start in a nice soft lunge, starting really soft and easy. Anything that's too intense, I don't dive in straight away. I take my time. Keeping the belly nice and soft and relaxed, letting the shoulders release, not making too much of an effort at the moment. It's more like just coming back to the body, coming back to the breath, tuning in. And just allowing the body to find a sense of relaxation, which to me feels like flexibility becomes easier then. And from here, if I feel like my hip flexors are feeling pretty open, taking my time, I like to come up into like a deeper lunge, maybe push the left knee forward, start feeling like a sense of lift, like you're creating more space from the pelvis up into the spine, creating space between the ribs and the pelvis, just holding it there for a few moments. I like to let my back arch a bit, but sometimes it feels like that could dump weight into your lower back, so maybe you can draw the ribs in just a little bit. Again, tuning into the breath, really finding that sense of release and relaxation. And after a few moments, just pushing back into a nice, simple downward dog. In the downward dog, maybe just walking it a few moments, just allowing the side body to release a bit and then stepping onto the other side. The same lunge, nice and soft and easy here. You can hold it much longer. I'm keeping it short right now. You could hold it up to 30 seconds, 1 minute. Keeping the breath soft in the belly, letting the belly rise and fall at the moment. Just tuning into a relaxed space. From here, maybe moving into a deeper lunge again. Staying here for a few breaths. Either keeping the eyes open, focusing on one spot, or if you feel quite steady, you can shut the eyes and just dive a little bit into the internal feeling. And then again from here, pushing back into a downward dog. From here, maybe you can bring your feet together. And then if possible, stretch your right leg up, trying to create space through the hip flexor and then really reaching as much as possible up. Think of creating a long line from your right index finger through the right part of your spine all the way through the right big toe. Stretching deeply in the hip flexors. Maybe bend the right knee in towards your right hip. See if you can do a little bit of a side turn. And again then, take it through back into this lunge. Just getting a little bit more active here. So on the inhale, you can do a bit of a lunge. On the exhale, going a bit into the hamstring. Doing this a couple of times with the breath. On the inhale, lunging. Exhale into your hamstring. One more time, inhale in the lunge. Exhale in the hamstring. Either stay with this, or if it feels comfortable, go slightly more. Feeling that stretch through the hip flexor, through your hamstring. And if that feels comfortable, taking your own time without pushing, without being too aggressive, just allowing the body to release down. Feeling that deep stretch through your hip flexor. If that feels comfortable, go down for a few breaths. And then slowly coming back up. Do the same thing on the other side. Take a few moments here. Stretch the left leg up. Try to feel that stretch through the whole entire left side of the body. Reaching through the left big toe, creating a lot of space in the left hip flexor. If that feels comfortable, left heel towards the left hip. Going into a little bit of a side twist, looking under the left armpit. And then swing back through. Step back into the lunge, really going deep into the hip flexor. Exhale, push back into the hamstring. Try to use the Ujjayi breath here. Inhale. Exhale, tuning into the breath, trying to get the breath and the body to move as one. Again on the inhale. Opening up the hip flexor on the right side. Exhale into the hamstring. Try to go with what feels really comfortable without too much pushing, without too much aggression, tuning into more of a soft energy. If that feels comfortable, go deeper. Could be here and just hold that. If you feel like the body is opening up, taking your own time, remembering that you can't push. With flexibility, you need to let the body take its time to open up. Once it feels comfortable, it feels natural, it feels like that's your range of movement, allow the hips to drop or stay right here. If that feels comfortable, really feeling the stretch through your hip flexors, you can reach down for a few breaths, letting the belly soften again. Making sure the breath is soft and relaxed, not holding on to it. And then slowly come back into that downward dog position. We're going to do one more stretch in the lunge. So coming back into that lunge. I feel like the quadriceps and the hip flexor, the more you open them, the easier the back bend gets. So you can come back into this lunge. Either reach with the opposite arm, grab and hold. If that feels comfortable, pull in. Maybe hold this one, or if it feels more comfortable with the same arm, pull in and hold that for a few seconds. If this position feels very uncomfortable for you, you could attempt the same thing against the wall. So the same position is stretching your hip flexor and your quadricep. You can put your right foot or your left foot against the wall and then start leaning into that. Feel the weight, feel the stretch through the quadricep, through your hip flexor. You can have a little bit of an arch, but the more you try to find neutral with the pelvis, the more you find neutral with the spine, the more you're going to isolate the stretch right there instead of again going back into the lower back. So however comfortable it can be here, or stretch all the way back. If you're very flexible, try to reach the heel outside and just hold that for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, whatever feels comfortable. Again, tune into the breath. Try to find that deep sense of relaxation. If this stretch feels comfortable, you can stretch through the opposite arm, so creating a lot of length and extension in that side of the body. Maybe reach through the right index finger. Find that deep stretch through the hip flexor and the quadricep. Hold that. I like to let my shoulders elevate because it gives me a sense of extension and length through the entire side.
Through the whole side,
so
yeah.
rather
lovely.
than keeping my shoulder depressed, I allow that elevation to happen. So it's like a stretch through that whole line from the right index finger all the way through the right big toe.
Yeah. And people's knee often wants to sort of slide away from the wall in this position, so that you've got to try and keep it close to the wall, otherwise you lose a lot of the stretch.
Yeah. So hold that for a few seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, up to a minute, and then you can slowly come off the wall. Repeat on the other side. Stu, I'm going to get you to do the same stretch.
On the other side? You did your right leg.
I did my right leg behind.
So I come into it, like this. I put my leg up, and then I just slide down. Because some people have a real job getting into it, don't they? It's like, oh my God,
that was perfect.
One thing or another. Yeah.
And then maybe stretch your left arm up. See how that feels, really elevating, reaching through the left index finger. Getting a little bit of the spiraling action of the arm.
That way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that makes it quite different. Actually, it really adds another element to it.
Do you feel it?
Yeah.
So, one of our teachers, Richard Freeman, he calls it the psoas line. Starting through that index finger, when you spiral up and let it elevate, going through all the way out through the big toe.
Yeah.
So it's as if you're lengthening into opposite directions.
I really feel that. That adds a really nice quality to it.
Yeah. It also kind of gives like a sense of traction, I feel.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And then if you can add that with the core that we did in the previous video and brawl those rib cage
if you
down.
can really flatten your back and pull the ribs in. I like to emphasize the ribs drawing in on the exhale and just allow a sense of release on the inhale. Personally, I prefer that. Or you can keep the ribs in through the inhale and exhale.
Yeah, that feels really nice. Yeah. You also they also might want something for some people that got bony top of the foot. It helps have a little something between
soft
your foot and the floor.
You want the body to remember back bends as feeling beautiful rather than something that's like boot camp style.
Torture
very
before you
different
start.
feeling from the core. Like in the core, you want the body to remember that it's intense.
Yeah.
I feel here it's already intense. You want the body to feel like it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
At least like for me, the texture of your, it makes it feel like the body gets a sense of comfort.
Right, yeah. Otherwise, you start to fear them and then you tighten
and your
up, don't
nervous
you?
system.
Yeah.
Because backbending can really fire up your nervous system, which is why I really feel people should not attempt very deep backbends till they're pretty stable in their nervous system.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because even though you're very flexible, sometimes your nervous system could get very fired up from doing backbends.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why the nervous system has to really be calm, soft, very aware and alert, but very relaxed.
Yeah.
Which is where, for me, the breath comes in, because the breath kind of unlocks that, is it the relaxation response in the body.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, the breath is really like, I feel like it kind of unlocks with the body that sense of release.
So in that last one, we started to integrate the lower body into the upper body.
Yeah.
And so what are your favorite openers for
The
waist
upper
up?
body.
Yeah.
So one of the things I like to really work into is the tricep.
Right.
And then I like to have a bit of a thoracic opening, which I use either the bed or any piece of furniture.
Okay.
I don't really use props much. I just feel wherever I find a prop, I use it.
That you can curve over.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I use even the bed sometimes because, over the bed you can lie on different parts of your spine.
And just lay them over.
Yeah, and so
Okay.
you can get this opening in your upper chest, in the mid back, and I like to walk one vertebrae at a time off the bed.
Off the bed.
And I feel like it really releases the entire spine, kind of irons out all the vertebrae.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my little thing that I love.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So today we have no bed, so we'll have to make do with we're going to use the wall, yeah?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to do first before you reach over here?
Yeah, one more is the
On the
tricep.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, I like to do it in the lunge because
Okay.
it kind of emphasizes that whole psoas line. So you can start in the lunge. Again, reach up through the same hand. Little bit of spiraling action here. So getting a bit of the spiral through the index finger, creating a lot of space. Feel like you're lifting your ribs out of the pelvis. Once that feels comfortable, hug your left tricep in. Take the other hand behind you. If it feels comfortable, grab. If not, you just stay with this position. That starts feeling comfortable. You can take the other hand behind, grab, and hold that. Again, either allow the ribs to lift out of the pelvis, or if you feel like that's creating a compression in your lower back, maybe draw the ribs in a bit and make it more neutral. After a few breaths here, if it feels comfortable, you can release, or the same hand goes up, 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 spiral, up and over. And then release. And then push back into downward dog, repeat. Same thing on the other side. And then the last one, my favorite one, which I'm going to use this.
You're going to use the wall.
Yeah.
And that's quite nice because it's got a bit of a curve to it, hasn't it? But
Yeah.
if you haven't got a curve, you could use lots of blankets to make it a little bit more round.
Yeah, exactly. So we can do it in two ways. One is a little bit more of mobility.
Yeah.
So getting it rather than a passive static stretch, it can be more of a mobility drill.
Okay.
Which I like to do a little bit of the mobility drill and then finish it off with like holding it for a while.
Okay.
Because it gets a different kind of energy going. So you can grab a block. Just find your sweet spot. We all have our own little sweet spot in the spine. So you can grab the block. Start reaching with the shoulders back. So allow the shoulders to get a bit of mobility. Then maybe walk up so that curving spot is exactly between your shoulder blades. So you can do a little bit of movement. Inhale. Exhale, come back. Again, inhale, reach over. Also get a little bit of lift of the hips. Exhale, back. Also getting the legs to work as you do this. Inhale, lift. And back. You can do this a couple of times. On the last one, just walk back, feel the spot between your shoulder blades and just stay there for a few moments. I like to keep my arms straight because it again creates a sense of length and extension through the entire body. But you can play around with it. So there are no real rules here. I'm going with what my body feels in the moment. You could even do this action and then bend the elbows in to also find the same feeling.
I suppose if you were prepping for Kapotasana, you might want to bend the elbows if
so
you're
the
prepping.
body starts remembering this pattern.
Yeah.
when you get a lot of that opening of the shoulder, so you could start with that and then start doing this one, because it's a slightly different movement of the shoulders. Here I'm allowing the shoulders to really open up. So what is this? This one is internal or external?
That's external rotation.
No, I'm doing the opposite.
You're doing internal
now.
rotation.
I'm doing internal to get a lot of opening.
Yeah.
And then for a Kapotasana, I do a bit of external rotation. And then bend. Because to go back, it helps if you do a bit of internal rotation. That opens your shoulders maximum.
Even more.
Yeah. Opens them up. And then to stabilize, the external rotation and bending. But again, like I said, there are no rules. It's more about feeling into the body, really tuning into it, creating as much space and length in the whole front body and the back body
as possible. Yeah. And then you're less likely to go into those bits that are a bit stiffer if you can create more space in other places. Yeah.
Should I do one last?
Do one more. Deepika's got one more. Now this might be a little bit intense first. So
no, this one is not that intense, the one I'm showing.
So we got another intense one we're keeping to ourselves.
So one of the things I notice a lot is people don't use their legs enough in back bending, and I feel this is it really helps if you have a lot of like a thrusting action of the legs, because that's pretty important for getting a good back bend. Even if you're not doing second series, I feel this one would help in drop backs, or it would help in Laghu Vajrasana, Kapotasana. So I do a little bit of like it's not really dance, but a bit more fluid movement. So we did it, I think, yesterday. I get a bit of side bend in the body and then reach back and come down. Then again, I use my legs and really push up and back. Doing that a couple of times, letting the legs really thrust forward. So rather than stopping here, getting them to thrust forward and back. One more time, this one and back. Now the second one is more an active movement of the legs. So keeping the legs activated, going back and up. Really using the quadriceps, back and up. So you really feel the legs fire.
And I can see your whole body is staying still, isn't it? You're just going at the knee. It's not a back bend.
So I'm really using my legs, isolating a lot of quadriceps. I can feel every time I come up, my quadriceps are firing. Then once that gets more comfortable, you could even do it with an arch. Back and up. I'm trying not to use my hands too much. So it's more of a leg drill to get you to be able to come up using the power of the legs and the glutes. So back, up. Or back and up. Okay. That gets everything really fired. So it's great for Laghu, great for Kapotasana, also very good for drop backs.
And of course you're quite strong in the legs. So for people that are just starting this, just don't go back too far to start.
They could just start very small here.
A little bit,
and up, just getting more control, just this much. Once they feel they have the control, they can fire, go lower.
And even that will feel quite intense. You know, that's
like the next day they would be very sore. They would get like DOMS, you know, like a delayed onset of muscle soreness, a lot of strength building up. But, you know, it's very good. Rather, you have strength here than pain there.
Yes, exactly. And so that's going to help with your drop backs, well, with all the back bending.
For sure.
Strong core, strong legs.
Super.
Brilliant. Thanks, Deepika. I hope you enjoyed that. And, you know, take all these things slowly. You don't have to go for the maximum straight away. And as Deepika was saying, you know, just feel that integration from the fingertip right the way down to the foot. And I think it's going to really, really help, isn't it?
And also the breath and the nervous system.
Keep it all even.
Allowing the body to take its time. You know, I feel that's very important.
Key. Brilliant. Thanks. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good luck, guys.